Acholi, 𝙁𝙇 Claimant Association Saga. Not long ago, I was listening to a group of Acholis on Radio Rupin discussing the role of Acholi 𝙁𝙇 Claimant Association and how they had been handling the Acholi 𝙁𝙇 compensation. I was sad, very annoyed to see those bed bugs living on human blood, treating our own people like second-class citizens. I understand that those running the association and their members were paid twice, while non-existent claimants were also paid. The number of claimants seeking cattle compensation through Acholi 𝙁𝙇 Claimant Association, according to the information I'm getting, is reduced by 4,000 from 22,000 members. Henry Oluka from the office of the Attorney General headed a 24-man task force to carry out the verification exercise. That was in 2016. And found out that so many claimants failed to turn up to present their particulars to confirm they are genuine claimants. That was already a signal that there was something wrong, that there was something that does not fit in the role of Acholi 𝙁𝙇 Association. It tells you that the association itself does not serve the interests of Acholi people. At that moment, it should have been a turning point to investigate the association activities. But no one took it seriously. And the association carried on with their fraudulent activities as nothing happened. I understand that Oluka told political and religious and opinion leaders at a meeting in Gulu town that they found out that some members were paid twice. Non-existent claimants were also paid, while others that have been paid are underage kids. Some claimants who are not members were overpaid, while others received a poultry of about 150,000 Ugandan shillings for a cow. And yet, the standard government rate is 600,000 shillings. Acholi 𝙁𝙇 compensation claimant, in fact, was and is still involved in frauding the people of Acholi land. We just allowed them to continue with no checkup and proper accountability. Engineer Noah Ofonya, the chairman of the association, said that the exercise which was ordered by the then resident district commissioner of Gulu was fake and allegedly fraudulent. They all knew at that time that the verification exercise for Acholi 𝙤𝙇 𝙁𝙤𝙧 had been the center of confusion. Everybody was out there to make money, but not to help the people who lost their property. The Saga and money-making business by those greedy bedbugs started earlier than 2013. Let me quote what Ofonya himself said. He said that Navison Kidega, the Gulu resident district commissioner, and his group entrusted to carry out the exercise, that when they tried to carry out that exercise of investigating and finding out, he said that the resident district commissioner and the group he put together lacked the mandate to do so. He claimed that the group carried out that exercise without the mandate of Attorney General. What a confusion in Acholi land. What a confusion in Acholi land. Let me be clear. I'm not a lawyer, but let me tell you this. Acholi 𝙤𝙇 association itself have no mandate to act as a representative of the people of Acholi land. The 𝙤𝙇 association, let me be clear, has no mandate to claim any money on behalf of the Acholi people. The only people who have the right to claim 𝙤𝙇 money on behalf of the Acholi people is the paramount chief with his chiefs in Acholi land, with his prime minister and his ministers. The paramount chief of Acholi land is the only organ with legal authority, with legal custodian of the Acholi people. This Acholi association should have not started at all. Nobody should have allowed these people to steal from the Acholi people And a lot of our elders are dying out, slowly by slowly, without even tasting the soup of the goats that was stolen from them. Let me come back to the chiefdom. The paramount chief and the chief in Acholi and his government are the only legal custodian of Acholi cultural institution. It is not the religious leaders, it's not the Muslim leaders, it's not the parliamentarians, because the parliamentarians are elected based on their constituency. That is a unit of Acholi people who elected them to go and represent them in the parliament. They elected one from Pade, they elected one from Lamore, they elected from Gulu, they elected. Those are the units. Even the parliamentarian does not have the legal custody of cultural heritage in Acholi land. So let's put this thing clear. I'm not a lawyer, but let me be very clear. The fact is, the only person who has legal right to demand compensation for the Acholi war claimants is the paramount chief with his chiefs in all Acholi, his government that include the Prime Minister of Acholi land. The paramount chief is the legal custodian of Acholi land in whatever matters that include land, that include war debt claim. And any state back home should have realized that don't use the political tactics to divide the people of Acholi. The only person who should have negotiated with the government was not a war debt association that is illegal, according to my simple but knowledge. That is illegal. It is time that you, the Acholi's lawyers, who still have your head on, you, the Acholi's educated children, who still have their head on, let me be clear. You may not like the paramount chief. You may not like the chiefs in Acholi land. You may not like the Prime Minister of Acholi land. But let me tell you something. These are the legal representative and custodian of the Acholi cultural heritage. You may not like them. You may try to undermine them. But what you are doing now, stealing from your own people, is not acceptable. Let me be clear. If there are still Acholi lawyers with brain, I appeal to you you better go and talk to the paramount chief and his chief and his prime minister, and you help them, not based on a 10% for whatever money comes in, but you help them like people from Acholi land to take this association into court and reverse that evil doing, because I understand they have now turned the association into a limited company with shareholders, and you are representing 22,000 members. That is reduced from 22 with 4,000, so you may only be representing 16,000 people. But what is the population of Acholi land? What is the population of Acholi land? I appeal to those lawyers with brain to go and talk to the paramount chief, to the chief, to the prime minister of Acholi land. These people should be taken to court and they have to refund all the money. And I understand our elders are dying one by one. But let me be clear. Their blood is going to be on your hand. You lawyers who are playing dirty games because you want to make money. You people who are stealing from the people who lost their properties. And if you don't, and if you expect some of us to die out here, let me tell you something. If you don't, we'll come and do it for you. We will come and do it for you. Let me repeat. The only legal person who can represent the people of Acholi to claim war debts payment is the paramount chief, Rouat Onana Chana II, and his chief and his government. Any association, whether it's a religious leaders, whether it's a parliamentarian, as I explained before, the parliamentarians are the unit within Acholi land. They don't represent the entire Acholi land. They represent their constituency. That is where you have some coming from Lamoa, some coming from Gulu. They represent a unit who elected them. But the person with legal right to represent Acholi land, whether to defend Acholi land, to replenish the war debt claimants, it is the paramount chief. We don't want, we as Acholis, to start living like wild leopards. When it comes to free money, we can steal, even from our own mothers. The compensation for Acholi war debts claimant is shrouded in controversy from the start. The amount of money they receive from the government is about 7 billion Ugandan shillings. 7 billion Ugandan shillings. Imagine if you have given that money to our people. Some of the elders who are dying one by one, they would have tasted the soup of goat before they die. But now, their blood is in your hand. You receive 7 billion from the government. If I have to believe what 𝙏𝙗𝙘𝙧 said, the chairman of Gulu, that most of our elders are dying one by one, and they never benefit from that payment, 7 billion. Why the lawyers of Acholi War Debts Claimant Association are enjoying the 10% of whatever money the government gave to these people? You pay yourself with money that is supposed to go back to those elders who had already suffered a lot in the camp. They came back, and you are using your knowledge as engineers, as lawyers, as top people within Acholi society to steal from your own people. That is unacceptable. And you go as far as turning the association into a limited company with shareholders. God forbid. I never thought I would witness such a daytime crime being committed on the people of Acholi land by their own children after staying in camps for almost 35 years or more. We all know that our people lost everything in the war, lived in the camps for many years, and coming back home, you get the worst treatment from your own children. I am ashamed. I'm annoyed. I'm hurt very badly. Very badly. And the same association, the same company that turned into a limited company with shareholders is paying their staff, some of their staff, 2 million per month from the money that should have gone to our people, from the money that should have given us a little bit of comfort. They stole all our cattle, our cows, our everything we have. Now we come back, and a few people are enjoying the 7 billions. But let me tell you something. This war is not yet over. We have people who are also outside like me. When I set my foot in Uganda, I'll take you to court. You are using the same money to go for treatment abroad. You are using the same money to send your children for treatment You're sharing the money among yourself while our elders are dying one by one without being paid a cent. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And you call yourself engineers. You call yourself doctors. You call yourself lawyers. What's wrong with you? Have you lost your mind? Have we all lost our mind? Those people should have been locked up a long time ago and the key thrown away. I understand that the same association paid people like 𝙒𝙗𝙘 20 million, Bush 20 million, Rabushan 20 million, Galdino 20 million, 𝙁𝙊𝙇 20 million, just to mention a few. Let me be honest. I know 𝙒𝙗𝙘 personally. I know Rabushan. I know 𝙁𝙊𝙘. But to be honest, 𝙒𝙗𝙘 is a friend of mine for a long time, although we don't communicate a lot. I think he owes me a lot of explanation because this is something that I never expected from a person like him. Rab Ochan, I know him, even when I was growing up. I used to have a lot of respect for him. But when I heard that all these people received the 20 millions, while some of the elders have received nothing up to now and they're dying one by one, that trust and respect I have for them, I have to put it in the box because it does not make sense that you people who should have been protecting the elders and actually people are the one who takes the money even before these people in villages had received their shares. And you should have been the people that would have told the association and say, you guys, this money belongs to the people. Before you pay us, you pay them first. But you didn't do that. I know you lost your properties. But in a situation like that one of ours at home, the business was first come, first serve does not exist. You should have said, listen, let's think about our people. They suffered a lot. For us, we have other sources of getting money. For them, they don't. But still, you took the 20 million. Maybe there will come a time you'll have to explain to the people of Acholi land. I may be wrong, but I'm deeply disturbed. I hope that the same people can defend their action in future to clear their names. And what is even more annoying and more painful, I understand that the same association had been collecting money from these people. You have to be registered if you want to claim money from the government. And all these people they paid money. The association collected 2 billion Ugandan shillings from poor people of Acholi land. This is not acceptable. We are just stealing from our own people to feed our egos. And it hurts to see the new Acholi on Rupin defending those bed bugs who are feeding on the blood of our people. I don't care whether you are a pastor or a saint. We cannot defend stealing from the poor to make you rich. Paying your lawyers 10% from the money that should go to our people, the rightful money. They have the right to that money. And first, you cut it off through your lawyers. That is not acceptable. And I would like to appeal to the paramount chief, who is the legal custodian and caretaker of Acholi land, with his chief and his government, to come out and take over, to come out and take the association to court so that they refund all the 7 billion paid to them and they hand it over to the legal custodian of Acholi land, and make sure that these people are brought to justice. We all know that you are the legal custodian in Acholi land, and you have the authority to do that. You have the authority to do that. And you have the authority to safeguard our land, our wealth, our people. And you are the only organ that have legal authority to negotiate with whatever government in power. And the government in power should also know that the paramount chief and his chief and his government are the custodian of Acholi cultural heritage. Anything that happened in Acholi land should go through the paramount chief, and all these politicians should not try to bypass the paramount chief, because he is the legal custodian of Acholi land. And let me be clear, some of you who may think that you know better, it is time you show a little bit of respect to the paramount chief and his chiefs and his government. Because if you think whatever you are doing now will last forever, then you're joking. There will come a time you'll have to answer a lot of questions. Get rid of those thieves and do it now. Thank you for listening. I'll be back.